So in this video, we'll be going over the spider tier list to see which build ranks the highest. These 8-legged creatures don't just rely on web and high mobility, but also use some lethal attack combos that cause high damage when paired together. You'll see what I mean once we get into the tier list, but first let's do an overview of the basic abilities that spider players have access to, along with a quick rundown of the history of the spider faction. These 8-legged players have been spinning their tails since the Devonian period. We're talking way back over 400 million years ago. Imagine that, while dinosaurs were still in the pre-game lobby, spiders were already mastering their craft, leveling up in the ancient world. But there's one thing that spider players exploit more than anything: fear. A lot of builds have the reputation of being spooky, causing their opponents to freeze or lash out with a predictable and punishable move. Top contenders who use this strategy are scorpions, centipedes, bats, snakes, cockroaches, ravens, and spiders. But today's video is perhaps about the #1 creepiest build in the game. You might think that a player with such a low weight class might not be considered OP. After all, any build with a high weight or buff stat can one-shot spiders if they aren't stunned or frozen in fear. But some spider builds are way more successful at fights compared to others, which is why today, we will be going over a tier list starting from the least powerful to the most OP builds. Spiders are part of the arachnid family, which means yes, they've got those iconic 8 legs that makes them so recognizable. But here's where it gets cool. Each spider has 2 main body parts: the cephalothorax, which is like the command center where all the legs are attached, and the abdomen, which is the engine room where all the magic happens, like silk production and digestion. Now, speaking of silk, this stuff is spider gold. They've got these special glands called spinnerets at the rear end of their abdomen, and they can whip up silk faster than your grandma can knit a sweater. But it's not just any silk. We're talking about material that's tougher than steel and more flexible than nylon. But here's a mind-blowing fact. Not all spiders spin webs to catch their prey. Some are like ninjas of the spider world, hunting down their meals with precision and agility. Take the jumping spider for example. These little guys have phenomenal eyesight with 4 pairs of eyes that give them almost 360-degree vision. They stalk their prey like a cat, and when the moment's right, bam! They leap distances up to 50 times their body length. Imagine if humans could do that. We'd be jumping over buildings in a single bound. And let's not forget about the venom. Most spiders have venom to subdue their prey, but before you freak out, know this: out of the 45,000 or so species of spiders out there, only a tiny fraction are dangerous to humans. Now, let's get into the tier list. Starting with the F tier, I've got the brown recluse. This little critter has been the subject of many a nightmare, thanks to tales of its flesh-rotting venom. But hold up, because it turns out those horror stories might be more fiction than fact. The rotting flesh was actually caused by bacterial infection instead. Without this myth to prop them up, these recluses really don't have much going for them in the spider world. Low stats, no special moves, they're basically the NPCs of the spider game, just minding their own business until someone accidentally steps on them. Now, onto the Black Widow. Here's another spider that's been living off its hype for way too long. You've probably heard the tales: a bite from a Black Widow and it's game over, right? Well, not quite. Despite packing a venom that's potent, sure, it's not the instant game ender it's been made out to be, the stats don't lie. Out of the thousands of human players bitten each year, less than 1% actually hit the game over screen, and those are usually the ones already low on HP. Plus, these widows love to camp. They set up their web bases and wait for dinner to walk in, which is fine as far as strategies go. Now onto the D tier web campers. Here we have 2 builds, the bark spider and social spiders. First up, we've got the bark spider. Picture this: a spider so ambitious it stretches out its web across entire rivers to snag those hard to catch targets like dragonflies. Sounds pretty badass, right? Well, in theory yes, but in the grand scheme of the game, this strategy comes with a hefty price tag. These river-spanning webs require a massive investment in resources. We're talking time, energy, and a whole lot of silk. And just like a high-level raid in an MMO that took hours to set up, one wrong move from an unsuspecting player or natural event and poof, it's all gone. This high-risk, high-reward strategy lands the bark spider in the D tier. They're the equivalent of a player who spends all their in-game currency on flashy mount that doesn't necessarily get them any closer to victory. Now let's talk about the social spiders. You might think, hey, teamwork makes the dream work, right? Well, not always. These spiders have taken the "it takes a village" approach, banding together to construct massive webs that can dominate large areas. On paper, it sounds like a solid plan. Less work per spider and a sturdier base, but here's the kicker: the loot division. We all know that teammate who doesn't back us during a squad fight but is always there to take the loot right after the kill. Not cool, right? That's the daily drama in the life of a social spider. Plus, they've got to deal with thieves sneaking into their web, which doesn't exactly scream efficient strategy. So while they might have the numbers, The lack of a cohesive game plan and the internal squabbles over loot distribution keep them at D tier right alongside their solo web building counterparts. Both the bark and social spiders have adapted to their environment in unique ways. The bark spider, for example, is a master of camouflage, blending in seamlessly with tree bark to avoid detection by both prey and predators. This stealth mode allows them to set up their impressive traps without drawing too much attention, at least until it's too late for their unsuspecting victims. On the other hand, social spiders have turned web building into a communal art form. By working together, they create complex, multi-layered webs that can cover significant portions of the forest, turning them into no-fly zones for any insects daring enough to venture close. It's like setting up a massive collaborative defense system in a strategy game, except the players are all spiders, and the goal is to catch dinner rather than fend off enemy troops. Now let's move on and talk about C-tier spider players. Here we've got the trapdoor spider, the ultimate stealth camper of the spider world. Picture this. A spider that doesn't just wait for its prey but sets up an entire trapdoor mechanism, complete with a silk-lined burrow and a camouflage lid. These players are all about the element of surprise. They sit tight in their hidden layers, with a tripwire system that alerts them when dinner walks by. At the perfect moment, wham! The trapdoor flies open, and they snatch their unsuspecting meal. It's like a jump scare in a horror game, but for insects. But life isn't all easy for these trapdoor campers. They've got their own set of challenges like environmental hazards. Quite often, they set up the perfect trap only to have it washed away by a flood or blocked by a fallen leaf. And frost? Forget about it. Their burrows might as well be ice boxes. These environmental quirks can really throw a wrench in their gameplay, limiting their dominance to just the C tier. Now let's talk about the ogre spider, a real oddball in the Spider-Verse. These players don't just sit and wait, they go fishing with a net made of silk. At night, they stretch out their web, and when prey comes close, they hurl the net over them. It's like watching a mini Spider-Man in action, but way creepier because, well, it's a spider. But here's the kicker. The ogre spider has this epic night vision, like built-in night goggles, allowing them to spot prey from a distance. Sounds OP, right? Well, there's a catch. These spiders have no off switch for their night vision, so when the sun comes up, it's like staring directly at a flashlight every single morning. This constant exposure damages their retinas, but they've got this cool passive ability to regenerate their eyesight just in time for the next night's hunt. Still, this daily cycle of blindness is a major drawback, keeping them locked in the C tier alongside their trapdoor comrades. Their prey? Well, it varies. The trapdoor spider isn't picky. It'll grab anything that trips its wires, from unsuspecting insects to small vertebrates that wander too close. The ogre spider, on the other hand, targets flying insects, using its net to snag meals right out of the air. Now we're entering a serious territory with the B and A class. In B class, we have the jumping spiders, part of the Celticity family. These little critters are like the parkour experts of the spider world, equipped with some of the best eyesights among arachnids. Imagine being able to spot your prey from several body lengths away and then, with a burst of speed, launching yourself through the air to land the perfect ambush. That's the jumping spider for you. Their agility and precision in the mid-air are unmatched, making them formidable predators despite their small size. They could easily score an S+ rating for their mobility alone, but looking at their overall gameplay style, they fit in this tier better. Moving on to the orb weaver spiders, the craftsmen of the spider faction. These guys take web building to the next level, creating those iconic, intricate orb-shaped webs that are as deadly as they are beautiful. The silk these spiders produce is insanely strong, rivaling some of the toughest materials in the game, and the designs? Pure artwork. But it's not just for show. These webs are highly effective traps for snagging flying insects, making orb weavers successful hunters. Some of these spiders even come with striking coloration and patterns, turning their webs into deadly galleries of natural art. Last but definitely not fierce, we've got the wolf spiders from the Lycosity family. These spiders are the lone wolves of their world, relying on their hunting skills rather than web traps. They have excellent eyesight and speed, making them nightmare fuel for insects everywhere. And if that's not cool enough, these spiders show some serious maternal instincts, with females carrying their young on their backs, a rare sight in the spider world. Moving on to the A class, these spiders should represent the pinnacle of arachnid capabilities either through sheer hunting prowess, venom potency, or other remarkable traits that make them stand out in the spider world. First up, the wandering spider, also known as the Brazilian wandering spider. These players like to scout large areas of the map in search of prey. They don't just sit around waiting for their food to come to them, they go out and hunt it down, making them one of the most active predators in the game. What's truly terrifying about these spiders isn't just their aggressive playstyle, but their venom. It's not just any venom, we're talking about one of the most potent venoms in the spider domain. This venom packs a punch strong enough to cause serious damage to their targets, making them formidable opponents in any encounter. Now let's talk size, because in the spider world, size can be quite intimidating. Wandering spiders can have a leg span of up to 5 or 6 inches. That's a sizable opponent, especially when you consider their speed and aggression. This size advantage, combined with their lethal venom, makes them a fearsome predator capable of taking down not just insects but larger targets as well. Moving on to the golden silk orb weaver. These spiders are like the architects of the spider world, known for their impressive web building skills. The webs they construct are not just any ordinary webs. They're large, intricate, and incredibly strong, capable of trapping large flying insects like bees, wasps, and sometimes even birds. The silk they produce is golden in color, giving these webs a beautiful shimmering appearance that's not just for show. This silk is one of the strongest materials known, with a tensile strength comparable to steel. Both these spider players have adapted brilliantly to their environments. The wandering spider, found in South and Central American maps, thrives in tropical climates where its nomadic lifestyle and potent venom give it an edge. Meanwhile, the golden silk orb weaver, which can be found in warmer maps all around the world, utilizes its web-building prowess to dominate its territory. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. We're into the S tier, the ultimate predators that aren't to be messed with. Here, first up, we have the Porsche spider, a master tactician known for its exceptional problem-solving abilities. This build specializes in preying on other spiders, using complex tactics such as mimicry and deceit to outmaneuver its opponents. The Porsche spider can mimic prey caught in a web, or even imitate the vibrations of a male spider courting a female to lure its targets into a false sense of security before striking. Its intelligence level is off the charts for an arthropod, capable of planning several moves ahead in its quest for domination. With its keen eyesight and stealth, the Porsche spider can navigate complex environments and execute ambushes with precision, making it a formidable S-tier contender. Another ideal pick for the S-tier is the peacock spider. Equipped with one of the most elaborate and colorful character designs in the game, the peacock spider uses its aesthetics and dance routines not just for mating rituals, but also for intimidation and territory defense. Its ability to captivate both allies and adversaries alike secures its spot in the S tier through social and reproductive success. But there is one last pick that one-shots every single contender so far. I'm talking about the Sydney funnel web spider. First off, let's talk about its home, the funnel web. This spider doesn't mess around with flimsy, delicate webs. Oh no, it constructs a silk-lined burrow that's like a high-security fortress, complete with a tripwire system that alerts it to any prey or threats that dare to wander too close. Now onto the spider itself. The Sydney funnel web is like the heavyweight champion of the spider world. It's big, it's bulky, and it means business. With its shiny dark body and massive fangs, it looks like something straight out of a horror movie. And those fangs, they're not just for show. They're like nature's pair of hypodermic needles, sharp enough to pierce through fingernails, and tough enough to deliver one of the most potent venoms in the spider kingdom. Speaking of venom, let's dive into what makes the Sydney funnel web spider's venom the stuff of legends. This venom is packed with a cocktail of compounds that can wreak havoc on the nervous system of its victims. It's like the spider has its own custom-made potion designed to immobilize its prey, and if you're an insect, that's game over for you. But here's where it gets really wild. This venom can be dangerous to humans too, making the Sydney funnel web spider one of the few spiders that you really don't want to mess with. These 8-legged wonders are like the special ops of the animal kingdom, equipped with an arsenal that would make any opponent think twice before messing with them. From their mind-blowing silk-spinning skills to their venom that ranges from ouch to oh no I need a doctor, spiders have got it all. Thank you for watching, and I hope you had as much fun watching this video as I did making it.